What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason. Today, I'm pulling the engine out of this 2011 G1500 van. I've never pulled an engine out of a van before. I've read that they can be challenging, so I figured I would give it a shot and see if I can give you guys some pointers and tips. The first thing I'm going to do, get all the front fascia off. The grille and headlights are already gone. I'll get the core support out of here, AC condenser, radiator, all of that front miscellaneous stuff that's held on with those 13, 10, and 15 millimeter bolts. Let's get them out of the way. Okay, had a little surprise there. The guy that I bought it from told me that the AC didn't work, it had no refrigerant in it, that it hadn't worked for quite a while. Well, it didn't, and it surprised me, and this thing was loaded with dye. So, I don't know what the deal was there, but gonna keep going, keep getting this thing apart. I probably should have known better, and I probably should have checked it and evacuated it myself to be sure. Whoops, lesson learned. Got pretty much everything out of the way on the front of the engine compartment here. The core support, the radiator, the AC condenser, some wiring, hoses, etc. I used a 10 millimeter, a 13 millimeter, a utility knife, a set of mini snips to cut the transmission cooler line, a little bit of brute force, and a flathead screwdriver. Now, as you can see, this engine, it's tight. The intake manifold is more than likely going to have to come off for me to get this thing out through the front. And I've already got the truck filled with scrap metal, so I don't feel like cutting the floor out of it. So, the next thing I'm going to do is get the rest of the hoses off, get all this bracketry supporting the oil fill, the trans dipstick, get those out of the way. Get some hoses, the power steering reservoir line over there, the power steering line. Get that stuff undone. Basically get all these little odds and ends out of the way so I can actually reach in here and get the intake manifold off of the engine. All right, everybody, time for an update. I've been at this thing for a while now. I've got the intake manifold and the entire wire harness removed. I've got my power steering pump or power steering reservoir and power steering pressure line still attached, and the transmission is still bolted to the back of it. I already removed the 3 motor mount bolts on each side that actually hold the mount to the frame. And I removed the nuts that hold the transmission mount to the transmission cross member. So, more or less I have a long block engine with a transmission attached to it. And it's just sitting in place now So I have to sneak my cherry picker in here. I want to connect my chain as close as possible to the bottom of the intake valley here, so I have room to actually lift and move the engine out. There should be enough space that I can get it out now, especially once I drop the transmission cross member, but I need to get the hoist hooked up first and take some of the load off of the mounts, and then I'll be able to drop the cross member. All right, well, there we go, everybody. We got it out of there. This is probably the most challenging engine I've pulled. It's a lot tighter confines in the van engine compartment. As evidence, I mean, there's no way it'll come out without taking the intake manifold off. It just will not fit out of the engine compartment without pulling that intake manifold. Other than that, very similar to other things. The other thing to consider is, you know, the dipstick tube is way longer. The oil dipstick tube is way longer. So those things you're gonna have to get somewhere else if you get a van engine or transmission. But otherwise, it's similar to any other engine pull, just a little bit different, a little more challenging. So I'm gonna finish getting this thing broken down, and that's probably it for today. Well, I took that van to the scrapyard today. I've got the next donor truck queued up here and ready to go. This one runs and drives, but the tires are junk. Somebody already took the catalytic converters off of it. But this one says it has 373 gears and a G80 factory locking differential according to the RPO codes. So I feel like I should test that locking differential and the transmission, so I know for sure that they're good to go for whoever I sell them to. Well, it looks like the G80 is only working at about 50%. But it runs good. Pretty healthy running LM7. All right, now that I know everything works the way it's supposed to, let's get it torn apart. I've done numerous videos on how to get the engines out of these things, so I'm not going to bore you with the details. I'll put links to those videos up here in the corner, and I'm going to give you some good music to listen to and get this baby cracked apart. as you saw, I ran out of daylight. It's a couple days later. I need to get this thing the rest of the way out today because my customer is coming to pick it up tomorrow. All that I have left to do is drop the front differential down out of the way, hook up the hoist, and then remove the engine cross member, or I'm sorry, the transmission cross member, and I should be able to pull it out through the front. Well, there we go. Got the engine, transmission, transfer case all pulled out as a unit out of this one also. I think I'm going to call it for this video. 2 pulls in 1 video. How often do you get that? Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Hopefully this helps you if you're working on a van or even pulling an engine out of a pickup or an SUV. And until the next video, take care everybody.